There are three levels of relationships in the journey of a believer. The first level of relationship is the relationship with a generation that have gone ahead of us. The second level of relationship is the relationship with the generation that we are born with. The third level of relationship is the relationship with the generation that we will leave behind. And so in investigating his life, I saw that Paul, writing to him, began to say to him that there are three levels of this relationship even in your life, Timothy. One of the things that happens is that the generation that we are born with, we owe that generation a revelation of God. Because every one of us is a custodian of a dimension of God. So as we journey the path of life, it is a responsibility we owe to our generation to reveal the dimension of God that we carry. And so as we are going, somebody's going to look at you someday and say, I have never seen patience like this before. I have never seen God in generosity like this before. There's just something about God that each and every one of us is amplifying with our lives. And the second generation is the generation that is above us. What we owe that generation that is above us is our loyalty. Why? Because they have walked with God, they have done a lot of exploit in God. We owe that generation our loyalty. We serve that generation. But before we leave, there is a generation we will leave behind. The generation we will leave behind, we owe that generation a legacy. Legacy of our walk with God and our exploit and the things that we have used his word to have achieved, that will become a pathway for that generation to also follow and find their path in God. The sincere truth is that if we don't understand these three levels of relationship, we will be competing with people that have gone ahead of us. And instead of being loyal to that generation, we will compete with the inheritance we ought to inherit. The greed of our generation is that we are following, but we are not following for what we ought to inherit. We are following for what we can benefit. So we saw a man by the name of Gehazi. He was following, but his eyes was not fixed on the inheritance. His eyes was fixed on the things he could get. Oh, if Pastor Chinto can pay my school fees, let me attach myself to this ministry. They will give me food.